These are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, it's Tom Foster at Foster Web Marketing here for our February webinar, and it's going to be a fun day. This is a very cool webinar that we're putting on for you guys today. I'm here with our SEO, one of our very cool, smart SEO people, Laura Johnson, coming from South Carolina. And Laura's been with us for a few years now and has done some fantastic SEO work for a lot of our top clients. And I'm excited because she's never done a webinar with us before. Have you, Laura?
Nope, brand new.
This is her first time. I think that you've done one for the DSS group, but this is one for everyone else out there. The rest of our people that we like to keep updated and educated. So, Laura, thank you very much for doing this for us today. We look forward to learning a lot. And so, without further ado, what we're going to talk about today, everybody, is what's going on with keywords. And really, we had a big change last year, huge. Huge change in all the sweeping Google changes with Panda, Penguin, EDM, and also the not provided keyword issue and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to Laura's going to dive into it because she struggles with this stuff on a much higher level every day, and the constant Google changes. So we're going to stay focused on the current and future role of keywords. And then, like we always do, if you guys have questions, go ahead and please put them in the question box there on the right side of your GoToWebinar control panel. And we'll go ahead and get to them at the end. If we don't get to all of them, then we'll respond in an email or send you a link to where we've got an answer somewhere else. All right, very good. And so, Laura, without further ado, let's get started. So tell me a little bit about the future role of keywords.
Okay, great. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll start by looking at what's going on with the keywords role in SEO right now. Keywords have always played an important role in SEO. Traditionally, we've been concentrated on keywords for overall website optimization, content creation, and enhancing link building efforts. Additionally, tracking keyword rankings has been a significant focal point for measuring your website's effectiveness in organic search results. And it's no secret, as Tom mentioned before we got started, Google's always changing, and we're always trying to keep up with Google. They make around 500 changes to their search algorithm each year, which makes it really difficult for any method of website optimization to remain constant. The algorithm changes affect the results displayed in the search engines, forcing website owners to keep up with these ongoing updates in order to make sure their website is still found. While the role of keywords and how they're used is being adjusted along with Google's algorithms, the importance of keywords to your website's performance hasn't changed.
Hey, Laura, so let me ask you this. So this is a lot like, so for the lawyers that are on the phone or on the webinar, and the doctors and the professionals, this is like your business changing 500 times a year.
Yeah, how fun is that?
And well, at least though that the lawyers are told if there's a change in the law or you find out about it, and we have to go, because what Google tells you isn't always really what happens, right, Laura? I mean,
Right.
Yeah,
and you'll see shortly they're becoming a little bit more secretive, even than they already are. But yeah, I mean, there's probably a change happening right now that I'll have to figure out after the webinar. So, you know.
exactly right. But that's, I mean, like that's the world that we live in, and right now Google is the leading.
Yeah, they're the big player, for
Messing with it.
sure.
Anyway, let's keep going. Thank you.
Well, SEO, as we once knew it, no longer exists, but there are still fundamentals of an SEO campaign that remain consistent. Keyword research is one of these basic elements, and we still need to know what keywords potential clients are searching for so we know what terms and phrases to target and what kind of content to create. However, with more recent updates at Google, the process for finding these keywords is becoming more difficult. So where have all the keywords gone? Keyword research is getting a lot harder. A big reason for this is the increasing amount of search terms being hidden as not provided in your website's analytics due to Google enforcing encrypted search. And I'm sure you've all noticed if you log into your Google Analytics account and you want to see, okay, so what are my top search terms? The top one is going to be not provided pretty much across the board.
Now, Laura, why does Google do that now? Why did they do that, not provided business?
Well, they say that they have done it to promote internet security and privacy among, web searchers. But it's kind of, it's debatable, and I'll talk about that in just one second. Let's see. When Google introduced encrypted search in October 2011, Matt Cutts stated that it would only affect a small portion of searches, and at that time was only affecting search data for users that were logged into a Google account. Recently, however, we're seeing upwards of 50% of monthly organic search traffic fall under this title. It doesn't only affect Google Analytics. All analytics tools have been hit with this not provided data. And you can see here that only a little over 26% was affected in January 2012 by the not provided issue, but just a year later, this past month in January 2013, we're seeing a little over 47% as not provided. So it's growing.
Yeah, it's growing for sure, and I know you're going to get into a little bit more here, but and this is really just because Google doesn't come out and say it, obviously, and this is a big debate with SEOs on why they're doing it or the reason for it or whatever, but isn't it really because of their desire to compete in the social media plane and all their plans with that, with Google Plus One and the rest of it? And so they have to have higher security because they're, now they've connected user information with search, and so therefore they have to protect that privacy data. And I don't know if I said that very well, but
no, I agree with that, and I want to believe that they're doing this for the right reasons of protecting web searchers. Yes, protecting us, right. But then, there's some other areas that are, good topics for discussion as far as you can get this, you can still get this information. Google's keeping this information, and you can get it through AdWords if you're paying for an AdWords campaign. So if you're paying, you can get your not provided data.
Well, they're mining their own data for, they're using it themselves for their own AdWords, and that's really it. All right. Well, anyway, like we're getting a little off here. I mean, I know we just want to tell the audience, everybody, you know, why this is happening. It's not, it's Google's a business, and Google's going to leverage every element it has. And, you know, as I've always said to people that listen to me, and there's not that many people that do listen to me, Mike, but more people should, I think, especially when it comes to this, because I mean, Google doesn't really care about your business. Google doesn't really care if you like whether it's giving you data or not. Google's job is to provide excellent search results, and you know, nothing's ever for free. So for years and years and years and years and years, well, it hasn't been that long actually since Google's been out, it provided its free organic search engine, so it just could cultivate massive data. And so now it knows search trends for tons of different industries and websites, and that's what it's using in AdWords. And that's how it's leveraged. AdWords and pigeonholing you into using certain terms for localization, and ultimately Google's after that local market. All right, I'm done. Laura, please continue.
Okay.
That's my little soapbox on Google.
So who's using encrypted search? The popularity of encrypted search is growing and has expanded far beyond just hiding search data for logged-in Google users. Most major browsers are now using encrypted Google search, regardless of whether a user is logged into a Google account or not, meaning search data from visitors using Firefox, Safari, and most recently even Google Chrome is hidden from website owners in attempts to increase internet privacy and security and reduce spam. And actually mobile web visitors using Google search on newer versions of Android and iOS 6 are included in this not provided section. So while we're still able to see where a web visitor came from, in most cases, the knowledge of how they found your website and what they typed into Google search is becoming much more of a mystery.
And that's going to continue to grow. And rumor has it, in May, it's just going to, you're not going to see any of it anymore, the keyword data through analytics, correct?
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors out there, but you know, you can't worry about it. You just have to figure out a solution in order to get the information that you're going to need by, you know, bypassing this not provided data. So I'm going to give you some ideas of how you can go about getting this information and some other ways to optimize your website to get around this not provided data. So while web marketers, we're all scrambling to figure out how to effectively optimize a website for keywords that we can't see, there are options for finding some of this information. Google will provide monthly search volumes, and not provided doesn't apply to paid search, as we just talked about, where you can still get insights on organic search potential if you're running an AdWords campaign. Google Webmaster Tools provides a look at the amount of impressions, visits, and average rankings for your website's top organic search terms, and the keywords on this list bypass the not provided issue. You can find these terms by viewing search queries under the traffic tab in your website's Webmaster Tools account. So you can go into Webmaster Tools and you can see your top organic search terms listed out by impressions, click-through rate, etc. The only it's difficult to then pinpoint, you know, the user's engagement through Webmaster Tools and that kind of thing. So that's when you kind of have to combine efforts between analytics and the Webmaster Tools data to get a better idea of what's really going on.
And really like Google Webmaster Tools, if you don't know it, it is pretty clunky and cumbersome and confusing.
Yes, it can definitely be intimidating, but it doesn't need to be. There's a lot of stuff in there that you know, website owners or lawyers and those running websites can go in and get some good information without having to be bombarded with, you know, algorithm changes and, you know, stuff like that, and they can find the information that they're looking for pretty easily. They just haven't set it up in a fun environment.
Yeah, no, it's pretty ugly back in there, Webmaster Tools. And I'm sure as they, you know, I imagine that Google's going to come out and try to sell this data. To you. That seems kind of their MO, and like as they well, anyway, we'll see, but the deal because when you're going through Google Webmaster Tools to get this info, you kind of have to put it together like a puzzle piece, right, Laura?
Right. It's not cut and dry for you. And
Yeah, it doesn't give you we've been, as much as some of us complain about analytics, compared to Webmaster Tools, that's like a walk in the park.
oh yeah.
Because, I mean, at least analytics will tell you by page, keyword information and all the bounce rate and all this stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how Google, what's the point of analytics? I mean, like you're missing a big chunk of it the more keyword information they take out of. It'll be interesting to see how they expect us to use it in the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great point. They're kind of hurting their own tool.
Yeah, I mean, and Webmaster. Okay, anyway, that's not very comforting to know that that's the only way to look at it through Webmaster Tools and AdWords at this time. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So if you run a pay-per-click campaign with Google's AdWords, these visits are not affected by the not provided issue, and the information can help your organic keyword research. Google is keeping your keyword data and only providing it to users running ads, causing the debate over the real motivation of their encrypted search, as we talked about.
But there's no debate. I mean, it's obvious that's what they're trying to do. And, the thing is, like, a lot of you that do pay pay-per-click or haven't done pay-per-click, we're not suggesting run out and do pay-per-click because, the whole discussion about keywords, and I know you're going to get into it a little bit more, long-tail keywords, Google is trying to simplify it and force you to pay for these keywords. And we know as long as we've been doing this, that those vanity keywords, those typical keywords that are being blocked now, are generally not the ones that will convert the most people. It's always long tail. So we're not suggesting go run off and get AdWords and pay-per-click because that's going to save the day. It's just another measurement of data to be combined with everything else. It's just another slice. It's like taking, getting another test to verify the same, from another test. So it's not
Right.
the only thing that you should do.
Well, and the debate actually, I feel like with Google AdWords, if you're paying and you can get this information, then how much are they really putting on internet privacy and security if all you have to do is just pay to get the information? So the motivation behind that, it does seem a little, I mean, I guess it seems a little transparent that maybe they are just getting more money for AdWords. But like you said, they're a business, so.
They're a business. They have a right to make money. As long as we use them, they will make money. So keep going. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about keyword research in 2013. Just because we're unable to see all the keywords that searchers are using, they're still the driving force behind your organic search traffic, and it's still possible to optimize your website with some different approaches to finding the information you need to perform well in search. Keyword research has been and will continue to be an important part in any effective SEO campaign. Although Google continues to throw a wrench in our optimization plans, ignoring your keywords is not the way to go. Creating content without thinking about relevant keywords leads to shortchanging your SEO strategy and decreases your firm's share of search traffic and conversions. But the old process for keyword research is no longer going to work. It's time to update the way that we find our keywords. So when identifying target keywords, there are important factors to keep in mind. You want to look at conversions. What keywords have already led to conversions on your site? Knowing more about your competitors and what they're doing can lead to opportunities as well. We also want to look at search volume and keep relevancy in mind when we're selecting our target keywords. So your own website data is your best source for determining what keywords lead to conversion. And DSS does a great job of providing a list of these terms as contact keywords on your profile in DSS. So it's accessible to you. You can know what people were searching for to get to your site that then contacted you or downloaded a report, whatever it may have been.
Now, I have a question about this, Laura, because and not to put you on the spot, but it's a good question, I believe. But if they're not set or not provided keywords, they're not going to show up in DSS. So, right? Those concept keywords won't show up. It'll just say not provided. Because here's the thing.
Right.
Google's not going to give us the information. So here's the deal, guys. You know, what we've been telling you is you have to ask people. the data that you're getting now from Google is not 100%. So, as Laura said, it's 30, 40, 50% of the people coming into your site, you're not getting the data. So you're still back to the old school way of, how did you hear about us? And the answer is not the internet. The answer is, well, what did you search for? They might have said the internet, but then you need to ask the follow-up questions. Well, what did you search for specifically, if anything? And you need to start creating that intake as part of your process to compete with this. Otherwise, you're gonna and that's a lot cheaper than buying the data from Google, which is ultimately what a lot of people are going to end up doing. So, yes, DSS contains all the conversion keywords that have led to a conversion on your site, but only if that keyword is provided.
Right.
And it's easy to go back to, oh yeah, this person was a good client. And we're making changes to DSS all the time. So even if you weren't given the keyword information, if you get it later, you'll be able to add it to this particular client, so you'll be able to get the data. Anyway, I just wanted to make that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Thanks, Laura.
Okay, so next we're going to look at what your competition is doing. And even with Google's algorithm updates and increasing changes in data that's available to us, your law firms or your website in general doesn't exist in a bubble, and your competitors aren't sitting around doing nothing. They're going after your potential clients, and you need to know how they're doing it. Another constant in any SEO campaign and an important part of keyword research is competitive analysis. What keywords are they ranking for that you aren't? And finding new keywords to target and fill in the blanks in your current strategy. And a tool that we're loving right now is SpyFu, and it's been great for us to get some more insight on what our clients' competition is up to and what they're doing, and I think it's going to be even more helpful as time goes on.
Yeah, and they have an interesting engine to get data, and we've used several. I mean, we used them all, right, Laura? I mean, we've tried them all, and This is the one that we're currently hot about.
Hmm. Yeah, I would say we're hot on it for sure.
And I mean, it gives good data. It's better than Raven that we were using before, although there's good things about Raven too. But I mean, SpyFood goes out there and looks at everything. And we have other programs that we use on the higher level stuff like Majestic SEO and, of course, the integration of the competitive analysis and everything else we've got going in DSS. But from a keyword perspective, this is probably one of the best programs that we found in a while.
Yeah, I agree. And the amount of information that we're getting about competitors is really helpful.
And this goes out and gives you info, about AdWords and pay-per-click and all that stuff. So and it's good to know about your competition. And really, that's where a lot of you that are just getting started should start, because you only need to be better than them, really. You can try and dominate the world, but just dominate the world by just doing better than your closest competitor first. Finding out what they're doing, and we're not saying go do what they're doing exactly. Do better than what they're doing. All you need to have is a slight edge over them, and you will do better. Anyway, all right, let's keep going, Laura. Good job. Thanks.
Okay, so search volume for keywords should be taken into account. And that's the amount of searches for a certain term over usually a monthly period of time is the information that we're given through Google's keyword tool. But keyword or search volume should not dictate your choices and should never be the only factor used when determining your target keywords. Keywords with a higher search volume are usually more competitive, but aren't always the most relevant for your website. Like you see here on this slide, if you were going to target attorneys, what is that going to, the competition would just be outrageous for that, and it would just be such a waste of time and money to go after a generic, broad, super competitive term like attorneys, or even Virginia attorney.
Andrew attorney, or look at this.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, and that's really the thing, that's what we're talking about when we say vanity keywords. is those are the most competitive keywords out there. And Laura's point is that, sure, there's nothing stopping you from going after them. You know, many SEO companies will help you do that for sure, no problem. You want to own attorney, okay. That's going to cost you, you know, X amount to get you there by a certain period of time. Because if for some reason you decided today to wake up and get a website, then you're going, you know, you're going to be competing with everybody that's already been out there and that already is well established. You know, those are the facts, and so you need to just have realistic expectations about what you're going after. And so, you know, the point is, you don't need to go after, you don't need to take this army on head on. I mean, that's what that is. You can be a lot smarter about it. You know, going after lesser competing keywords, and that's what we find is, and that's what we recommend to our clients that we work with, is to let's go after these not so competitive locations. That surround you, not so competitive keywords like all the other big firms that are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on pay-per-click and SEO and whatever else. Don't go after that. Let's go after the fringes. Let's go after the niches. Let's go after the specifics, and that's kind of, I just kind of set up your next slide, Laura.
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you. So. We planned it. So searchers are getting smarter and more specific in order to narrow down search results. And long-tail keywords are more specific and aim to drive more targeted traffic. While they have less search volume individually than the broader terms, the majority of our sites do get more traffic from combined long-tail searches, and they're less competitive, so the opportunity to rank higher for these long-tail keywords is greater. So you have a much higher success rate targeting long-tail keywords than you would a more broad or generic term, and you are also going to be, you know, targeting web visitors that are, you know, they're looking for you. Obviously, they've typed in these long tail keywords, and they found you, so they're more targeted and more likely to convert than, you know, someone coming looking for just an attorney when, you know, really they were looking for an injury attorney and you just happen to be a divorce lawyer.
And also, there's other things that play into it. I mean, like, yes, totally, long tail keywords. I mean, and you know, everybody that's on this call, think about your own search patterns. You know, forget that you're an attorney or a doctor or work in an office or whatever, but if you're like looking for a shirt or, you know, like I'm always looking for new guitars, right? So right now I'm on the hunt for an ES335. I didn't type guitar into Google. Guitar! What the hell's that? That's not what I'm looking for. That's like somebody typing attorney or personal injury attorney. I'm looking for a specific kind of attorney. I'm looking for a specific kind of guitar. Maybe I want a certain year. Maybe I want a certain color. And maybe you have those kinds of issues. You do. That's what you do. When you search, that's what you find. That's what all the funny commercials are about being Googled and the rest of it. I mean, this is real stuff out there. Sure, the commercials are funny, but the point is that Google is trying to pigeonhole people into something, but people don't want to be pigeonholed. And ultimately, getting the best, your perfect client types in long tail keywords. And even if your perfect client, and here's the other trick, even if your perfect client types in a short keyword by accident or just out of habit or whatever, or just kind of falls into the Google's trick of pigeonholing you into a vanity keyword, and they come up and they type in Virginia personal injury law or lawyer. Do you think that they just stop at that first click? So even if you have page one, even if you have slot one, page one, you paid for that spot. I want to be number one at yours. Is that what you do? Do you only stop at one website? No. You're going to click on a few, at least 3, 4, 5. So actually one of the best positions I believe to be is like 4 or 5. Obviously, you need to be there locally. But then what are they going to do? They're not going to stop there and hire you just because they typed in Virginia personal injury attorney. And I know that a lot of you that are on this phone can even say that, yeah, no, those aren't generally the kind of clients that we want. There's a lot of them are tire kickers or been fired by the lawyers or whatever. And even so even if they do that search, then they're going to do a search for what? What are they going to do a search for? After they search for a general keyword, Mike,
you're going to dial it down to their specific injury or issue.
Right? And then once they do that, they're going to, and they got like 5 law firms or 5 lawyers that they're looking at. What are they going to search for?
They're going to search for the individual attorneys, which is going to get into the social media aspect, because social media results are now populating Google search.
Yes.
So it's not just enough to have a nice bio up there on your site. You have to make sure that every aspect of your online reputation is in check.
And we're not, this is not, and like Mike let the cat out of the bag a little bit, because that's what we're going to be talking about next month on the webinar, is about that, you know, Google Plus running and Plus running pages and how social media is affecting search, because that's going to be huge. And that's really what we're going to be, you know, focusing on this year, right, Laura? But we're not getting into it right now today. We wanted to really specifically talk about keywords. But you need to be thinking about that, because it's not just about this. So this is not a sad story. This is just the reality of it. And the whole thing is, actually, in a very big way, Google's doing you a favor so that you don't have to sit and freak out about all these vanity keywords that aren't getting you the kind of clients that you want anyway. And you can focus on what we've always told you, which is the long tail keywords, which are produced by content. Content, addressing the top questions that your clients have. Always. Okay. So Laura, let's keep going. What do we got next here? Some tools?
Okay, next up, yeah, let's look at some tools for keyword research. These are some, I mean, they're very helpful and can help you determine the most effective keywords to target. Most of the ones on my list are free. Google's keyword tool is free, and it does provide search volume metrics, a level of competition for the specific term. But relying solely on that is gonna lead to several missed opportunities. Also, looking at Google Webmaster Tools search queries, it provides search impressions, click-through rate, and average ranking for search terms, and is not affected by the not provided data. And also, that's information that's specific to your website. Like we already mentioned, DSS contact keywords can give you some insight on conversion, what's working or what has been working for you. SpyFu. Go
Before you
ahead.
go on it, let me just tell people about DSS. As everybody knows, it works with us. I know not everybody on the line is a client of Foster Web Marketing. You might be like, what the hell is DSS? Well, DSS is our CMS, our content management system. It does more than that. It's more of a marketing, overall web marketing system that we continue to enhance. But it has a lot of, obviously it allows you to update your website and do all that stuff, but it also has analytical data about how your pages are doing. And currently, that pulls from analytics, but we are testing new forms of getting data, which has nothing to do with Google Analytics. It will be independent of a search engine, and it's really based on our log files. And what people are doing on the site. So we're, you know, as those of you that have been with us for a long time know, we are constantly making DSS better and better and better to help you be better marketers. But as you can see, I mean, like, we use the tool ourselves, so we enhance the tool for ourselves from a content and SEO perspective, and of course measurement, because you have to measure whether you're doing good or bad. Stop doing the bad stuff and doing more of the good stuff. That's what we're always trying to do. Anyway, that's what's going on with DSS. So Laura, we're looking for some cool changes in the future there to help people out.
Awesome. Another tool I briefly mentioned earlier was SpyFu, and it provides organic keyword rankings and competitive analysis. It also provides information on pay per click and your competitors' pay-per-click ads as well. Google Trends is another great tool. It shows you search volume over time and what people are searching for now. A recent example of using Google Trends, there was the recent stuff with Florida and their PIP insurance law changes. I did some Google trending, I guess you could say, and it's more likely that searchers were going to look up PIP insurance instead of PIP law, and so that was really helpful in optimizing videos and linking and the on-page optimization, knowing that let's optimize for what people are searching for because we want traffic. So that's definitely helped, and it's a great tool to look at. And one thing I always like when I find something is when it proves me wrong, and Google Trends can prove me wrong. So I always like a
Let's talk a
second
little
look.
bit more about that, Laura, Google Trends. So would you advise to people now to go into Google Trends and just do a massive dump of all their analytics that they've had over the years to get an idea of their keyword stuff or their keyword data over the years?
I mean, they could. I think that it's really more helpful to see what's going on now than it would, because what happened, even 2 months ago. Doesn't really have much to do with what's happening right now, as far as search is concerned. But you could definitely look at, the terms that you used to be targeting. Where they are now and what's a good, I guess, replacement or variation or modification for that term that might be getting more hits these days.
Yeah, and I think that if you've got, well, you should know it, if you've got tried and true, keywords, whether they're vanity, I mean, because we have some clients that are they just always kill it on those vanity keywords. Not that they are converting good clients, but they still rank well, and it does bring traffic. But then they find that, oh, we're still page one for all these keywords and it brings us traffic, but that none of them convert. I mean, so many of those top keywords, all that traffic is really just for marketers and SEO people that are hunting for your business anyway, and that they're doing those vanity searches. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about what do we do now, Laura? This is what's the future?
Well, looking at the future role of keyword, yeah, we also need to take into account some important elements of the future direction of online search. It's no surprise that local is going to continue to grow. How we track our keyword rankings and the emphasis we put on this measurement is in for some changes. And we'll also see a more effective method for on-site optimization based on a page-by-page approach and landing page keyword referral traffic.
And that's really content, content.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean,
If there's copywriters on the call, I hope they're listening.
what's that?
If copywriters are on the call, I hope they're listening.
Yeah. I mean, it's really not, you know, in terms of how Foster Marketing has always behaved. I mean, this is, if you have not participated in any kind of, well, I should say that as long as your focus has always been on content as what you do, the number one thing that you do for your website, then you're good to go. You've already got the good habits. If a big thing that you've been doing is trying to do like over optimization and SEO and your focus is all about, you know, paying strict attention to your keyword rankings and all that stuff, you're losing your data element and you're chasing after vapor, you know. Chasing after ghosts for that. But if your focus is on content, you know what content brings in your perfect clients. You've done that homework. You continue to do that. We have a lot of clients that do that. You would think, like, how can I continue to add content? Well, you know, I can tell you stories all the live long day. I mean, we put out ourselves 1,500 pieces of content a month for our clients, but, you know, like Michelle Davis up there in Seattle, I know that she puts out hundreds of pieces of content every month. She's got a schedule that goes for the next 6 months of content, and she's been doing that for 7 years, and that's why she kicks butt. And she gets so much. They get so much business, not because of scamming, not because of it's all white hat. It's all based on content. And it's all based on good SEO, and that's what we're trying to tell you. Is if you focus on that, if you focus on content and using your content to market your website, you're going to be fine. Okay. Keep going there, Laura.
Okay. Well, looking at local, the emphasis on local search results is increasing in this year, and it's absolutely necessary to optimize your website and your content for local and vary your keywords and SEO strategy based on your location, which is nothing new. We've been doing this for, I mean,